Dear Chosen One, if you are watching this video right now, know that this is not a coincidence. You weren't led here by chance. It is God who has brought you to this very moment, to this message, because an urgent prophecy is about to unfold, and it is meant for you. Receive this energy and divine prophecy by liking and subscribing to the channel, and don't forget to write your heartfelt prayers or wishes to God in the comment section below. Beloved, I need you to lean in with all of your heart, because what I'm about to say is going to confirm things you felt in your spirit for a long time. You've been walking through a season that didn't make sense. You've endured trials and battles that no one could see. While others were being celebrated, you were hidden. While others seemed to get opportunities with ease, you were left waiting. But what you didn't realize is that you were under a divine test, a test that wasn't visible to the human eye but was fully seen by the eyes of heaven. God has been watching not just what you do in public, but how you handle the unseen battles in private. He has been watching how you respond when no one applauds you. He has been watching how you act when you feel overlooked, abandoned, or misunderstood. This invisible test was not about your talent, your ability, or even your appearance. It was about your heart. Beloved, you have been through moments where you could have turned bitter, but you chose to stay pure. You could have retaliated, but you chose to forgive. You could have walked away from God, but you chose to cling even tighter to His promises. That, Chosen One, was the invisible test. And heaven is declaring right now, you passed. There is a difference between those who serve God for what He gives them and those who serve God because of who He is. The invisible test reveals this difference. When blessings seemed delayed, you still worshipped. When prayers seemed unanswered, you still prayed. When life seemed unfair, you still trusted. That is what set you apart. That is what marked you as chosen. Think about Abraham, beloved. When God asked him to sacrifice Isaac, it was not about Isaac at all, it was about Abraham's heart. Would he obey God even when it didn't make sense? Would he trust even when it felt painful? Abraham passed the invisible test, and because of that, heaven declared blessings over his descendants for generations to come. In the same way, your obedience in silence has moved the heart of God. The times you said yes when no one was watching, the times you served when no one said thank you, the times you cried but still believed, all of it has been recorded in the books of heaven. And now the season has shifted. The test is over, and the reward is being released. Beloved, I want you to understand this clearly. Passing the invisible test unlocks visible blessings. What was hidden is about to be revealed. What was delayed is about to be accelerated. What was withheld is about to be released in abundance. This is not just about money or material things. This is about honor, restoration, divine alignment, and supernatural favor that cannot be denied. You may have wondered why the enemy attacked you so relentlessly. It's because he saw what was coming. He knew that if you passed the test, your breakthrough would shake his kingdom. He tried to distract you, tempt you, and wear you out. But you endured. You refused to give up. And now you are about to see why the fight was so intense. Beloved, God does not test you to destroy you. He tests you to prove you, to strengthen you, to elevate you. The invisible test was the training ground for the visible testimony. It was in those unseen moments that your character was forged, your faith was deepened, and your spirit was refined. And now, you will carry blessings without losing your humility, favor without losing your dependence on God, and increase without losing your gratitude. You've been in a hidden season, but that season is ending. You're about to step into visibility, not for your glory, but for God's. The same people who questioned you will witness what God does through you. The same ones who doubted your prayers will see them answered. The same ones who dismissed your value will be forced to recognize the hand of God on your life. Beloved, get ready. Heaven has shifted. The test is complete. And the reward will not be delayed. Beloved, let us go deeper into this divine revelation, because your spirit needs to fully grasp the weight of what God is about to release over your life. The invisible test you endured was not a punishment, it was preparation. Heaven was not trying to withhold good things from you, but was ensuring that when those good things arrived, you would be ready to steward them well. Think of the potter shaping clay. The clay does not understand the pressure. It does not understand why it is being pressed, stretched, and reshaped. But the potter has a vision of the finished vessel, and every touch of the potter's hand is necessary for that vision to come forth. Beloved, you are that clay. God's hand was upon you, molding you in the hidden places. And though the process felt uncomfortable, it was creating strength, beauty, and resilience in you that will soon be undeniable. The invisible test is often the hardest because it comes without recognition. When you work hard in silence and no one claps for you. When you give generously, but no one notices. When you pray faithfully, but it seems like no one answers. These are the seasons where the flesh grows weary, but the spirit grows strong. These are the places where heaven watches most closely, for they reveal who you are when the lights are off and no one is watching. Beloved, think of David. Before he was king, he was a shepherd boy tending sheep in the wilderness. That was his invisible test. No one was watching him there. No crowds applauded when he killed the lion and the bear. No prophet was there to record his faithfulness in protecting the flock. But God was watching. And it was in that hidden place that David learned courage, worship, and intimacy with God. So when the day came to face Goliath, David didn't need recognition. He had already been proven in the unseen. In the same way, your shepherd field season has tested you. You may have felt hidden, unappreciated, even forgotten. But God was watching every moment. He saw the times you stood firm when compromise would have been easier. He saw the nights you cried but still prayed. He saw the decisions you made that nobody else knew about. And now, because of your faithfulness, you are about to be elevated in ways you could never imagine. Beloved, the invisible test also exposed what could not go with you into the next season. Some relationships, habits, and mindsets were stripped away during your testing. At times it felt like loss, but it was actually protection. God knew that certain weights would crush you in the next season, so He removed them in this one. Do not mourn what you lost in the test, rejoice, because it means you are lighter and freer to run into your destiny. Let us also remember, beloved, that invisible tests are always connected to visible promotions. Look again at Joseph. His test began in silence, when he was thrown into a pit by his brothers and later left in a prison for a crime he did not commit. No one saw the integrity he held in those dark places. But heaven saw it. And when the time came, the very prison that was meant to bury him became the place where Pharaoh called him forth. In one day, Joseph went from prisoner to prime minister. Beloved, the same God who elevated Joseph has not forgotten you. Your season of silent endurance has qualified you for a sudden elevation. One encounter, one divine connection, one open door can shift everything, and it will not be because of your resume, your status, or your connections. It will be because heaven has declared that you passed the invisible test. Now hear me clearly, when this breakthrough comes, it will silence every doubt, every accusation, every lie spoken against you. Those who misunderstood you will be silenced by the evidence of God's hand on your life. Those who thought you were wasting your time will have to watch the fruit of your perseverance. Those who dismissed you will have to acknowledge that you were chosen all along. But beloved, take this to heart, with promotion comes greater responsibility. Passing the invisible test does not mean you can now relax in comfort, it means you have been entrusted with more. God elevates you not just for your benefit, but for the benefit of others. Just as Joseph's promotion was not only for him but for the saving of a nation, your elevation will serve as a blessing to many. Do not forget your assignment. Do not let pride creep in. Stay rooted in the humility that carried you through the test. And so I say again, beloved, rejoice. The silent suffering is ending. The hidden obedience is about to be rewarded openly. Heaven has stamped approval over your life, and the move of God that follows will be undeniable. Your private battles are about to give way to public victories. Your invisible test is turning into visible testimony. Hold fast, chosen one. The shift is already happening. Beloved, I want you to take a moment and breathe deeply, because what I am about to release over you is the assurance that your waiting season has not been wasted. Every prayer, every act of obedience, every tear shed in silence has been accounted for. Heaven has been watching, and now the scales are tipping in your favor. You see, one of the greatest deceptions the enemy whispers during times of testing is this: no one sees. No one cares. Nothing will ever change. But beloved, let me declare to you, that is a lie. The Word of God says in Matthew 6:4, your Father, who sees what is done in secret, will reward you openly. Do you hear the promise in that? God sees the secret place. He sees the hidden sacrifices. He sees the invisible test. And His reward is always greater than the sacrifice you gave. Beloved, I know you felt overlooked. You looked around and saw others advancing, while your own prayers seemed delayed. But God was protecting you from premature elevation. What looks like delay in the natural is divine timing in the spirit. If you had received what you were asking for earlier, it might have crushed you. It might have made you prideful. It might have connected you to people or places that would have derailed your destiny. But now, after passing the invisible test, you are ready. This is why you can expect God to move suddenly. When breakthrough comes after testing, it often feels like overnight change. Think about Job. After all his suffering, in a single chapter, his fortunes were restored, and he received double for his trouble. Think about Paul and Silas, locked in a prison cell, but at midnight, as they worshipped, an earthquake shook the foundations and set them free. That is how suddenly God moves when the test is complete. Beloved, your midnight hour is here. You may not feel it yet, but the shaking has already begun in the spiritual realm. Doors are unlocking. Chains are breaking. Angels are being dispatched on your behalf. The reward is not just on its way, it is already released, and it is heading directly to you. Let us consider the life of Daniel. He was faithful in prayer, even when it was illegal to pray. That was his invisible test. No one was cheering him on in his prayer closet, but heaven was watching. And when he was thrown into the lion's den, God shut the mouths of the lions. The very trial meant to destroy him became the stage for his elevation. Beloved, the same will happen for you. The trial you endured will not bury you, it will introduce you to a new level of favor and recognition. Now, I want you to reflect on something. How many times did you choose integrity when compromise was easier? How many times did you choose love when bitterness called your name? How many times did you choose to pray when sleep seemed more comforting? Beloved, those choices matter. Every small act of faithfulness became a building block for the breakthrough you are about to see. And here is the prophetic word: the invisible seeds you sowed in obedience are about to produce a visible harvest. People will wonder how you suddenly rose, but you will know it wasn't sudden at all. It was the fruit of years of hidden faithfulness. This is why you must stay humble, because the world will call it overnight success, but heaven will remind you it was years of unseen testing. Beloved, the Lord wants me to tell you, your story will inspire others who feel unseen. Your testimony will remind them that nothing is wasted in the kingdom of God. The invisible test is never just about you, it is about those who will come after you. Just as Abraham's obedience blessed generations, your endurance will open doors for others. And here is something else you must know: the invisible test refined your ears to hear God clearly. When you were stripped of distractions, you had to lean into His whisper. You learned to recognize His voice in ways you never did before. And now, as breakthrough unfolds, you will walk with discernment. You will know which doors are from God and which ones are traps. You will know who is sent to bless you and who is sent to distract you. This discernment is part of your reward. Beloved, let this truth comfort you: your invisible test has shifted into an irreversible victory. Nothing and no one can take away what God is about to place in your hands. The enemy tried to stop you, but he failed. He tried to silence you, but your voice will now be amplified. He tried to break you, but you emerged stronger. And now, every attempt of the enemy will serve as fuel for your testimony. So lift your head, chosen one. Heaven has declared you ready. The invisible test is behind you, and the visible hand of God is about to move mightily in your life. Prepare yourself, for what is coming will not be small. It will not be ordinary. It will not be explainable by human logic. It will be a move of God so profound that all who see it will know, this is the Lord's doing, and it is marvelous in our eyes. Beloved, we have walked together through the revelation of your testing season, and now we must dive deeper into what it means for God to move on your behalf. Because when heaven begins to shift in your favor, no man, no system, no opposition can stop what God has ordained. You are stepping into a season where divine intervention will interrupt the ordinary flow of your life. Let us pause and reflect on something powerful. God never allows a test without preparing a testimony. Every hidden trial has positioned you for an open demonstration of His power. The same way Jesus allowed Lazarus to die before raising him, your situation may have seemed lifeless, delayed, or beyond repair. But beloved, that was not the end. It was the setup for a greater revelation. Just as Jesus said, "The sickness will not end in death, but for the glory of God," so too will your struggle not end in defeat, but in glory. Beloved, do you realize that the invisible test created in you a vessel strong enough to carry this glory? Many desire blessings, but not everyone can handle the weight of them. Blessings without preparation become burdens. Favor without foundation can cause collapse. But because you endured the silence, because you chose obedience when no one was watching, your foundation has been strengthened. You are now ready to handle the very things that once would have crushed you. This is why God's move in your life will not be partial. It will be complete, undeniable, and transformative. You will not just see one small blessing here or there, you will see a flood of divine activity. Breakthrough in your family. Breakthrough in your health. Breakthrough in your finances. Breakthrough in your spirit. It will be a wave that touches every area of your life, because God is not a halfway God. When He moves fully. Think about the Israelites leaving Egypt. Their invisible test was years of slavery, years of crying out with no visible change. But when the time came, God didn't just free them from Pharaoh's hand, He brought them out with silver, gold, and favor. He parted the Red Sea, fed them with manna, and guided them with His presence. That is the kind of move you are stepping into, beloved. Not just survival, but abundance. Not just freedom, but favor. Not just escape, but elevation. Beloved, I need you to see that God's move in your life will also confound your enemies. The very people who plotted against you, who laughed at your pain, who assumed you would never rise, will be witnesses to your blessing. Not because God wants you to gloat, but because He wants them to see His hand. When He moves for you, it will be undeniable that it was His doing. But I must remind you, beloved, that this move of God requires you to stay aligned. Do not let fear creep back in. Do not allow doubt to steal your faith. You cannot afford to return to the old ways of thinking. The invisible test taught you how to trust in the unseen. Now that trust must continue as the blessings manifest. The enemy would love for you to sabotage what is coming with unbelief. But beloved, hold steady. What God has begun, He will complete. Think again of Joseph. After years of hidden struggle, he was suddenly elevated. But he did not allow bitterness to rule his heart when he saw his brothers again. He understood that the invisible test had prepared him to steward power with humility and wisdom. You too will face this decision. Will you carry pride into your promotion, or humility? Will you hold grudges, or extend forgiveness? Remember, beloved, your reward is not just in receiving the blessing but in walking faithfully with it. Now let me release this prophetic assurance. You are entering into a season of visible vindication. Where you were misunderstood, you will now be clarified. Where you were falsely accused, the truth will shine. Where you were overlooked, you will now be celebrated. This is not about chasing validation from people, it is about God honoring you openly because you honored Him in private. Beloved, prepare yourself emotionally and spiritually, because this move of God will stretch you. Favor attracts attention. Blessings attract responsibility. Increase attracts both support and envy. But you will be equipped. The invisible test taught you not to be swayed by the opinions of man, and that same strength will guard you in this next season. Let us seal this truth with Scripture. Isaiah 61:7 declares, "Instead of your shame, you shall have double honor, and instead of confusion, they shall rejoice in their portion. Therefore in their land they shall possess double, everlasting joy shall be theirs." Beloved, this is your portion. Double honor for your shame, joy for your sorrow, abundance for your lack. This is the move of God that has been set in motion for you. So I say again, beloved, do not fear. Do not doubt. The invisible test has passed, and now the hand of God is moving. Watch closely. Stay expectant. For the very areas where you were tested will now become the very areas where you are blessed. Beloved, as we step further into this divine revelation, I want you to grasp the weight of what God is about to do in your life. The invisible test was not just about your endurance, it was about shaping you into a vessel that could carry the outpouring that is on its way. Heaven is aligning circumstances, people, opportunities, and timing in such a way that when the move of God fully manifests, it will appear as though everything suddenly fell into place. But you will know it was not sudden, it was prepared, cultivated, and birthed through your unseen obedience. Consider this, a seed in the ground does not sprout the moment it is planted. For a time, it looks as though nothing is happening. The soil covers it, hiding the process from human eyes. But underneath, roots are forming. Life is stirring. Preparation is taking place. And then, in the appointed season, the seed breaks forth, visible to all. Beloved, that has been your life. You were the seed in the dark soil of testing. Many may have thought you were buried, forgotten, or finished. But in truth, you were planted. And now, you are about to break forth into visibility. The move of God is not only about blessing you, it is about establishing His kingdom through you. Your breakthrough will ripple outward, touching lives you may not even expect. When you rise, others will be encouraged to rise. When you testify, others will find hope in your story. When God's hand is seen on you, it will be a witness that He is still active, still faithful, still working miracles in the lives of His chosen ones. Beloved, your life will become a living sermon. Not just words, but evidence. And this evidence will silence every doubter, every critic, every mocking voice. Not because you argued with them, but because God Himself answered for you. As the psalmist declared in Psalm 23:5, "You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies, you anoint my head with oil, my cup runs over." This is the season where your cup will overflow, and those who once thought little of you will watch God honor you openly. But hear this, when God moves, it requires stewardship. It is not enough to simply receive. You must know how to manage, protect, and multiply what He places in your hands. Too many lose their blessing because they treat it carelessly. But beloved, you have been trained. Your invisible test taught you how to value the little, how to be faithful in obscurity, how to listen for God's voice even in silence. Now, as He increases you, those lessons will guard you from wasting what He gives. And I must tell you this, beloved, the move of God is often accompanied by sudden shifts. Do not be alarmed if certain people walk away from you in this season. Do not panic if doors that once looked promising suddenly close. These are not losses, they are alignments. God is rearranging your circle, your environment, and your path so that nothing interferes with what He is bringing. The very things you thought you needed may be removed, only for God to replace them with something far greater. Think of Ruth. Her invisible test was widowhood, loss, and uncertainty. But when she aligned with Naomi and remained faithful in obscurity, God orchestrated a divine move. She met Boaz, stepped into favor, and became part of the lineage of Christ. Beloved, like Ruth, you may have endured seasons where everything familiar fell apart. But now, heaven is writing a redemption story for you that is bigger than your past, brighter than your pain, and deeper than your imagination. Beloved, let me speak directly into your spirit. You are not behind schedule. You are not late. You are not forgotten. God has kept you preserved for this exact moment. The years of silence, the nights of tears, the long seasons of endurance were all counted by Him. Not one moment was wasted. Every tear watered the soil. Every prayer sowed a seed. Every act of faith built the foundation. And now, the time of reaping has come. Galatians 6:9 reminds us, "Let us not grow weary in doing good, for in due season we shall reap, if we do not lose heart." Beloved, you have not lost heart. You may have felt weary, but you did not quit. You may have been tempted to give up, but you chose to hold on. And that choice has secured your due season, so prepare yourself for the evidence of God's hand. Expect unexpected phone calls. Expect opportunities to arise where there were once closed doors. Expect favor in the eyes of those who once ignored you. Expect peace to flood areas of your life that were once filled with chaos. Expect reconciliation where there was estrangement. Expect provision where there was lack. For when God moves, He leaves nothing untouched. And beloved, let me emphasize this, the move of God is not dependent on man's permission. You do not need everyone's approval. You do not need every hand to clap for you. What God has ordained cannot be blocked by human systems. If He chooses to elevate you, no boss, no critic, no enemy can stop it. If He chooses to heal you, no diagnosis can override His word. If He chooses to provide for you, no economic downturn can cancel it. His word is final, His promise is sure, His power is limitless. Beloved, you are on the edge of something historic. Not just for you, but for your family line. There are generational curses being broken because of your obedience. There are chains of poverty, fear, addiction, and shame that will not cross into the next chapter of your life. You are the turning point, the one God has chosen to change the trajectory. And the move that is about to unfold will confirm that. So I urge you, lift your eyes with expectation. Do not dwell on the old pain. Do not cling to the old failures. A new chapter is opening, and it carries the fingerprints of heaven. You are about to see God move in ways that will leave you speechless, weeping with gratitude, and overwhelmed by His goodness. Beloved, as we draw this message to a close, I want you to pause for a moment and truly consider the journey you've walked. You endured tests that no one else fully understood. You carried burdens that were invisible to those around you. You whispered prayers in the midnight hour when no one was listening but God. And through it all, you did not collapse. You may have stumbled, but you kept getting back up. You may have felt weak, but His strength carried you. You may have questioned, but you never abandoned your faith. And that is why the invisible test you passed has opened the gates of visible reward. God is not unjust to forget your labor, your tears, your sacrifices, your prayers. Hebrews 6:10 declares, "For God is not unjust to forget your work and labor of love which you have shown toward His name." He saw it all, the moments you chose righteousness over convenience, faith over fear, integrity over compromise. He saw you hold your tongue when you could have fought back. He saw you choose forgiveness when bitterness would have been easier. He saw you honor Him with your tithes and offerings when your wallet was nearly empty. These were the invisible tests. And beloved, you passed. Now, watch God move. The move of God in your life will not be quiet. It will not be hidden. It will not be something you have to explain or justify. It will be so clear, so undeniable, that even those who doubted you will have to admit, surely, the hand of the Lord is upon them. And this is not to exalt you for pride, but to exalt God through your testimony. For your life will shout His glory louder than any sermon ever could. Beloved, when Joseph was lifted from the prison to the palace, he did not have to prove himself to his brothers who betrayed him. God himself proved it by placing him in a position of authority. When Daniel was thrown into the lion's den, he did not have to convince the king of his innocence. God himself proved it by shutting the lions' mouths. When the 3 Hebrew boys walked out of the fiery furnace without even the smell of smoke, they did not need to debate with their accusers. God himself proved it by keeping them untouched. And so it shall be with you. What you could never explain with words, God will explain with his actions. What you could never justify in arguments, God will justify with his favor. What you could never fight for on your own, God will fight for with his mighty hand. The miracle that is coming will speak for you. It will silence the naysayers. It will disarm the doubters. It will confound the wise. Beloved, I must remind you, this move of God is not just for your comfort. It is also for your calling. The increase, the honor, the visibility, the opportunities, they are meant to position you for greater service. You were not elevated just to sit higher, but to reach further. You were not blessed just to store up, but to pour out. You were not healed just for yourself, but to heal others through your story. Your miracle is also your ministry. Do not fear the weight of what is coming. God never pours out beyond your capacity. The very test you endured was designed to enlarge your capacity. You may have wondered why the fire was so hot, why the pressure was so intense, why the silence was so long. It was not punishment, it was preparation. You are now ready for what others could not carry. Beloved, I declare over you that this is your season of divine reversal. Everything hell tried to steal, joy, peace, opportunities, health, relationships, finances, heaven is delivering back to you in greater measure. Joel 2:25 says, I will restore to you the years that the swarming locust has eaten. The wasted years are not wasted anymore. God is redeeming time. You will accomplish in 1 year what you thought would take 10. You will see doors open in weeks that were shut for decades. You will encounter favor in minutes that others labor for years to obtain. Because this is not man's doing, it is God's move. Beloved, prepare yourself. The invisible test is over. The visible move is here. Step into it with boldness. Do not shrink back. Do not apologize for the blessing. Do not feel guilty for the favor. When God honors you, receive it with humility, but also with confidence. For it is not about you deserving it, it is about him fulfilling his promise. As I close, I want you to declare these words over your life with faith. I am chosen by God, and my test has prepared me for my testimony. What was hidden in the dark is about to be revealed in the light. God is moving in my life, and no force of hell can stop it. This is my season of visible honor, restoration, and breakthrough. My life will testify of God's glory for generations to come. Beloved, take a deep breath and let your spirit rest in this assurance. The battle is already won. The invisible test is complete. The next chapter is not about struggle but about display. Watch as God moves, not in secret, but in power, glory, and undeniable evidence. Your story is shifting. Your season is turning. Your miracle is unfolding. Watch and see, the Lord your God is faithful, and he will do it.